Yeah.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy doody.
Welcome to episode 51 of Off the Books.
Yeah.
Where we are coming to you live. From here.
Right where we are.
Yes. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen. The Passover is upon us.
Yeah.
As well as Good Friday. Easter.
Easters.
Holy Saturday, right before Easters. So get ready. Because we're going to celebrate our Lord. This is great, right?
This is great.
This is like, as a Christian, this is like, it's like the great season.
This is the season.
It's like we celebrate the news.
This is better than almost better than Christmas.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because Christmas, celebrating the birth is definitely.
This is kind of like what we were saved from.
Yeah, and and how we were saved from it.
The birth of the Lord is great, but His death, burial, and resurrection of the cross is the gospel. That's where
we stand on. Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. So we had a good last week. We got some stuff we're going to be posting. Worship United, we did.
Yeah.
We got some
Worship
good interviews.
United in Massapequa at Eastgate Church. It was great. There was amazing worship that night. We had worship from Alden Brown of Eastgate. We had Nick Tangora from BLI. We had Justin. Why do I always call him Justin? Christian Guardino from
yes.
American Idol finalist. Amazing pipes on that guy. Then there was Eddie Maestro. Eddie Maestro was great. Sammy Nino. Don't sleep on Sammy.
Yeah.
Sammy gets it done, man.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
If you sleep on Sammy, you will sleep on Sammy.
You will sleep. You will regret it. Yeah. Let me tell you. So did I miss anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, my niece Taylor sang. That was great. That was nice to see. Bobby Rydell, great job on everything, putting it all together.
Put a lot together. A lot of work put into
and the
that.
shoes, Bobby, the shoes. You couldn't have done it without the shoes, bro.
What was those? The alligator?
No, they were like blinged out.
They were.
Bobby gets down.
That was.
He thought he was about to click his heels. He just does it every time.
Yeah, but anyway.
This week in the news, we're not doing a normal news thing. Why? Because we have something big coming up. It's a reminder of the good news.
The good news.
That's right here in Aletheia Radio's News at 8. We're giving you the good news from being in the world, but not of it.
Yeah, and you can't have the news without bad news, too, though. You can't have good news without bad news.
Yes, exactly. This is good news, though. So what this is, do you know the guy's name that published this?
No, it's him and his brother. Actually, I do, but I think it's. Let me see if it's on here. But it's a newspaper that's all the Gospel of John.
Yeah, so he did like the whole Gospel of John as a newspaper.
The whole Gospel of John, and then it also has the 5 things God wants you to know that will change your life for all eternity.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Some cool stuff. Yes.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Like I never thought good news, get it. Yeah, I love that.
Right.
That's good stuff. Though.
So in the news today, what do we got?
Well, we just got past that horrific shooting. And that was pretty terrible.
I thought you said good news, man.
I did.
You just jumped right in with the bad news.
I did, but you said bad news, so I thought that was a cue.
No, okay, yeah, we could do bad news.
All right,
you got to do bad news
a little bad news because you said with the good news comes bad news.
Yeah, well, the bad news you need to know the bad news to have the good
in order
news.
to appreciate the good news too. So, I mean, obviously there was that horrific shooting in Tennessee. In was it Nashville, right? Was it in Nashville? Yeah.
Yes.
So that the Christian school got shot up. I don't have to reiterate too much about it. Everybody knows about it. Just spend some time, if you can, spend some time in prayer to keep those families strong. They're going through something horrific. There's actually another shooting. I don't know the details about it, but there was another one, and for some reason, it's not getting too much news coverage.
Yeah, you know what? And even like some of the other stuff that was on there, I think I played you that thing with John Leguizamo, and everybody basically saying, that's it. It happens every time there's shooting. It's like, we have to do something about it. We have to do something. We're doing something. You're not doing it. You're not doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. But never give a clear answer of
what you're going to do. What's your plan?
Yeah, what is the plan?
And when you people introduce plans, they get shot down. I know, I hear that.
Yeah.
We buzzing.
Buzzing.
So listen, and the most important thing is that, you stay respectful in conversation. Most people don't do that.
Yeah.
And the reason why people become disrespectful in conversation, I think it's me. Why people
could be.
Let me just break.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Maybe it's Maybelline. The reason why people become disrespectful in conversation is it's just because you don't really have an answer.
Yeah.
When you have an answer, there's no reason to become disrespectful because you can actually have a civil discourse. You can have civil discourse with people and exchange ideas and say, I disagree there, I agree there, and actually come to not an agreement, but come to an understanding. When there's when you're just yelling at people to do something, there's no conversation happening. There's no agreement that you're coming to. You're just saying to do something. That's like saying, I'm starving.
Yeah.
Something should happen. That cheeseburger should immediately float into my face.
It actually does.
I'm quite good at it, actually.
Yeah, it actually
does. Listen. So if you don't know who John Leguizamo is, he's a comedian, but he's become very politicized, I would say.
Yeah. Well, the problem I have is you're going to talk about, pointing fingers at, congressmen, and I think he said something about the mayor of Tennessee or something like that, and he was just like, "What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?" I think the biggest issue is it comes from all races and genders, these shootings, but. One main thing is it's mental issues.
It's mental issues. It's
There's mental.
No way around it.
It's not the gun issue. It's the mental issue.
Yes,
and that's what we need to.
Yeah,
there's something we have to look at mentally in our culture, and it's definitely not. First of all, the Second Amendment. We talked about this. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting. It has nothing to do with even protecting your family. Although it's great to protect your family and protect your home, it had to do with.
Being armed against tyrannical government.
Yeah, against a government that we would like to stand up to. Being able to be armed.
Did you hear my accent change? I was like, tyrannical.
We're
going up against them. Tyrannical governments.
Tyrannicals.
Yeah, so and listen, it's like everybody, here's a fact. There's countries that don't allow guns.
Right.
And their stabbings and beatings in cases of murder are through the roof. Why? And I'm not making a Second Amendment argument. I'm not. This has nothing to do with that. It's real simple. What are you going to do? You know what can be done?
Yeah.
People can understand that there is God. He is real, and that you are held accountable for every sin that you make.
Yeah.
But there is also an answer for that. And that answer is, y'all need Jesus.
Yeah. That's one thing we're talking about tonight. We talk about Passover.
You're talking about the condition of the heart.
In,
and how Jesus
in Exodus, the whole point of that was God's judgment was coming through Egypt. And Israel needed protection. The Jews needed protection. And it was the blood on the doorpost and lintel that protected them from God's wrath.
Before the ring alarm system.
Yeah. Before
that was ever even.
So people got to understand that.
Was that not funny?
No, that was actually pretty good.
That's
actually pretty good. But people got to understand that here's a good question. Okay. When people say, "Hey, are you saved?" A good question would be, okay, what from?
Yeah. What are you saved from?
What am I saved from?
And what am I saved from? How I would have to know how I was saved in order to say, I'm saved.
What's interesting is the God that saves us is the same God we are saved from.
Yeah. Well, from being separated from.
Yeah, and his wrath, his judgment.
And I think I think that's something that people have a hard time with when it comes to like not being believers. They start saying stuff like, it's like, listen, if you said, okay, if your dad said, if you eat your snack before dinner, you're going to get punished.
Come on, man. Why is it got to be the snack, bro?
Oh, it's always the snack. If you eat your snack before dinner, you're going to get punished, right? Yeah. And then you do it. And then he's like, all right, eat your dinner. And then after dinner, I'm going to give you another snack. That's what God did for you.
What?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Jesus is a snack.
Are you hungry or something, bro?
Starving all the time.
All of a sudden you start
talking
about food and snacks.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Jesus is a snack. Just try him out.
A snack. I'm not.
You might like him. You might not.
But it's still a snack. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like, here you have a God. You're looking at an eternity of separation from him.
Yeah.
And instead, he's like, well, you don't even have to do that. Because I am just, but I am also loving. Here, I'm going to give you something to atone for that, to atone for your sins. And through that is your salvation.
Yeah. It's interesting that Jesus, knowing what he was going to go through and that separation, was so stressed that blood droplets came from his sweat.
That's an actual physical condition?
Yeah, being that stressed. How difficult it is for your body physically to get that stressed.
To understand the level of stress, like if you have a busy job and a family and kids, that's not enough stress to do that. The level of stress that I guess would take it is to know that you're approaching death. So it's an extreme level of stress that what happens is the capillaries under your skin explode, and when you sweat, it mixes in with your sweat.
Yeah.
And you actually sweat blood. So that's like, so God comes, he comes to earth through Christ. Christ understands what must be done, and obviously understands the grueling pain that's coming for him.
Yeah.
And experiences human stress. Because God never needed to be stressed, but comes for the sake of his children to experience their stress. Not because he doesn't know what it is, but to show you how much he loves you, what he's willing to endure.
Yeah.
That's something else.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy for us.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, when we look at the Old Testament, this is a great time of year because, it's Passover. So right now, Jewish people are celebrating Passover. The Seder.
Awesome. Yeah.
They're having the dinner where they remember the Exodus, their redemption from Egypt.
Yeah. Now that's crazy. So the blood was smeared on the door to ward off
the angel of death, the Lord. He says, I'm going to come. Yeah. And actually what's interesting, because if you go, it's like Exodus 12 and he talks about it and he says that, that the household is to take a small lamb. And if he says,
it is Exodus 12.
Yeah. It says, this month shall be for you the beginning of months. So, and it was around this time, it was March, April, around that time, beginning of months. It shall be the first month of every year. Tell all the congregation of Israel that the 10th day of the month, every man shall take a lamb according to their fathers, and the lamb of the household, and the household a larger household, if it's too small for the lamb, then he will go to the nearest neighbor and take it according to the number of persons, according to what each can eat, shall make you a count for the lamb. So basically know how much you're going to use of that lamb, the size lamb and everything for the amount of people. So there's no waste. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male, a year old, meaning that would normally be the firstborn of the lamb.
Yeah.
Right? A year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, when the whole assembly and the congregation of Israel shall kill their lamb at twilight.
Yeah, they said that there was an estimated amount, like 600,000 lambs slayed.
Yeah, that's when we had for the sacrificial lambs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintel of the house in which they eat it. They shall eat the flesh that night, roast it on the fire. They can only roast it on the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Now that unleavened part too is brought up a few times, even when Jesus says, don't let the leaven, the Pharisees, and ruin the lump.
One lump. Yeah. One lump.
Yeah.
And ruins the whole.
One lump. One lump or 2 lumps?
Bad lump.
What's that? Would you like 1 lump or 2 lumps?
That was like Elmer Fudd. Yeah.
They shall eat the flesh at night. So do not eat of it any raw or boiled in water, but roast. God loved the barbecue.
Yeah. Well, the burnt fat
smelled great.
That's what he was
right?
Like.
Its head with legs and inner parts, and you shall let none of it remain. That's why you had to take an account of how many people and what type the lamb that you're choosing. None of it remain for the morning. Anything that remains until morning, you shall just burn. In the manner you shall eat it with your belt fastened, your sandals on your feet, and staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It's the Lord's Passover. So you have to put a belt on. Why the belt?
So you don't eat too much?
No, it's
hold back your belly.
Usually when they wear the robes, they put on the belt for war. It's so your legs get freed up. It raises the garment up so you can actually walk faster or run.
Why don't you just make pants? Pants would have been so much easier than
shorts. It's Egypt.
Yeah, man. A kilt.
A kilt. Learn from my brethren. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's serious.
So it says, For I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast.
Wow. See, that's crazy.
And on all the gods of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. All the gods of Egypt themselves, right? Mm-hmm. I am the Lord. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt.
Now remember that there's no such thing as antibiotics. Like you get like these chairs, man, let me tell you.
Man,
Lord forgive us. All right. Woo! Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Okay. So remember, this is the days. This is like pre-antibiotics. They didn't have anything. Now back then, like you couldn't be like, oh wow, we got the plague. Let's go to CVS. You were doomed. That was
no. It happens. I don't know why I'm laughing. Oh gosh. Okay.
We here at Alethea Radio would like to apologize.
We just like to have fun. Yeah. We have fun.
I'm crying. That's
I know.
Great.
I don't know why. It's the Lord that's taking over me.
It's that joy.
Yeah, joy of the Lord. So I mean,
that's a horrible thing to have to think is coming for you.
Yeah, and you know what? And the Passover that's done year after year now, and it actually breaks it down year after year. Whew, it passed right through, right?
It passed right through.
Passed on. So the Passover it was to pass down to remember.
Yeah.
And actually there's the Hagat, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And it's the youngest of the table is supposed to ask 4 questions, and the 4 questions have to do with telling the story or the account of the exodus of Israel from Egypt. The parting of the sea and all the miracles that God did, the great cloud and the fire.
I mean, there's a lot more questions than 4 you could ask.
Yeah. And actually more Orthodox or even more some Reformed go more nights to do more, so you learn more about it. But
I remember I had a lot of Jewish friends that would when you're young you don't want to be bothered with it, and they would say, well, it's like all we do is talk about the being enslaved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you start to realize like the importance of not forgetting that.
Right.
You know, like when you're a kid, it's a lot to deal with. But when you get older, you're like you shouldn't forget those things. You should always remember that you came from a hard place. And if you didn't yourself, you should know at least that hard times come. You know, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's when he instituted the Passover, and he said that this day shall be a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord. And it was so important. I mean, right up to the point of Jesus, you know, like where this is why this week is important to us, because Jesus observed the Passover.
That was the Last Supper.
Yeah, we call it the Last Supper, but it was he sent them out and prepared it. Say, hey, go! I have this place prepared. We're going to do this, and then
in the upper room.
And then what he did was he actually then instituted basically the new covenant, the new Passover.
Yeah. The new
covenant. It was to celebrate which we do the Lord's Supper in church. Yeah. It's to celebrate his blood that was about to be poured out, which shows an image to the lamb and the blood that was brushed over the doorpost and lintel, where Jesus's blood is over our lives, and death, God's wrath, passes over us because of Jesus' blood.
Yeah, and I think one of the good things about this is to recognize like how easily also some of our traditions can become not really based on a relationship with God. I remember like you went to church as a kid and you took Passover, and the way you see the adults act is how you take it. So you do it, and if you don't have an adult to explain to you what the real purpose is, and it can kind of become tradition, which is what Jesus really made like a big marker on in his ministry. Was like, tradition is good if it's genuinely honoring God. Yeah. But if you start placing tradition over God, you have a problem. You know, and I think a lot of our traditions that we do, I think, as a believer, they're good, they're great. But I think it's also very important to when you're introducing young children to these traditions, remember they're going to get used to them. It's going to become like making their bed. Yeah, you know, and that so they have to be constantly reminded of the importance of that and where it comes from, and what the real point of that relational contribution is. Yeah, it's like what I was saying with the kids before, like it just became a conversation for some of my friends that are Jewish, that it was just like, oh, like all we do is talk about being enslaved, and now we're talking about like, oh, well, all we do is eat the bread and the wine, and we say we're sorry, and then it's not that. No, because actually that picture of that lamb, and it, you know, in Exodus, it's God stated that it was supposed to be a spotless lamb, the firstborn. That was a picture of it's a foreshadow of Christ, where when they're celebrating this is a huge deal for them, because it was a redemption of their people. It was a salvation of their people. Yeah. And like what we said before is like, what are you saved from? They were saved from the slavery and being enslaved. That's the greatest question. Okay, but I think it's more than that, because they were actually saved from God's wrath that night. It wasn't just okay being saved from Pharaoh. They were being saved from God's wrath. And I think people would look at it like as to say like, well, how could God do that? Well, number one, God knows who his people are. He's telling them to do this. They're going to listen. Yeah. The people that don't take him seriously they suffered you have a choice. Consequence. You have a choice. Yeah. You know, and death came, and let me tell you, it landed on them hard. I mean, like, we know the story. We've read it, you know. That's something else, man. I can't help it. Yeah. It's just one of those nights. Yeah. No, but like it's like, could you imagine like to be told to do this and actually say, all right, I'm going to listen. Like think about that. Like if that was you and like Moses, like, listen, this is what we're going to do. You do this and death will pass over you.
Well, this was actually the 10th plague, basically. So God showed them 9 times already who he was. But that's what I mean. I think that's where Pharaoh was about to let him go, and then his heart was hardened, and then he didn't, and then it was a battle between God and saying, okay, God didn't want them to think this was Pharaoh letting them go, that it was God's will that was letting them go, and that battle, I think they saw his miracles throughout. They saw. So those people that witnessed those things are like, but it's interesting. Even you saw the Red Sea now part. They get out, the Red Sea parts, they cross, they go over, and now they're in the wilderness for 40 years. It's interesting how all of a sudden they revert back to, hey, I wish I was back in Egypt.
Yeah, at least I'd be fed.
At least I'd be fed if I was back in Egypt.
This manna got no flavor.
Yeah, but you just saw all these miracles. You said, so that goes to show you.
But it
doesn't matter how much you see, how much you know. It's really your heart if you're going to really believe that this is what it is.
And I agree. That's what it boils down to, because you get used to witnessing miracles. You get used to receiving blessings, or what you may perceive to be God's blessings. You get used to that. And you get so used to it that you'd rather just stay there.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, it's like, I've seen a few miracles now. I'm comfortable now.
Yeah.
And then when you get uncomfortable, it's like, well, you know what? If the cost of being uncomfortable is, I get to witness some miracles, I could do without the miracles, and I'll just get the soup that Egypt was providing for us.
Yep.
And you go right back to that frame of mind. But that's why it's important to explain these to the kids, that like, don't ever settle for that. Like, that freedom is worth more than anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you eat. It doesn't matter your level of comfortability. You're free to do as you wish. I mean, it comes with responsibility as well, but remember the times where you didn't. Remember when you were a child and you couldn't even go out. You had to be home before it was dark. And then you become an adult and you could stay out all night. Yeah, well, what's the consequence to that? When you're out at night, there's also more problems at night.
Yeah.
So there's always a balance between those things. And it's really something else to read these stories in the Bible. Like when you get older and you're like, oh yeah, that was right. I've read this 100 times, but now I get it.
Right. Right. Even I didn't even truly understand so much how the Passover was related to the gospel and the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. I never knew that whole significance of why the Jewish culture,
Yeah.
So
wrapped in that.
Yeah, wrapped in that particular. So when I looked into it and when I first was saved, and
I get it,
they were like, no, somebody mentioned to me, it's like, hey, this is what it was. It was the blood, which is Christ on us, So it's like there's a new exodus. There was a new exodus that Sunday when the stone was rolled away and Jesus' body was not there anymore.
Yeah.
That was the new parting of the Red Sea. That was the new exodus of his people for good. Final exodus.
And here we go again. Want to go right back to Egypt. And that's the point of these stories. These are reoccurring sequences. Like, and it's funny because like we tend to think that with every generation that we know so much more accumulated knowledge, and we don't.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. You're only going to be able to absorb so much as you get older. Like every generation, we kind of start over again.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's important when the Bible says like respect your elders, because they've been there. Like if we listened to our elders when we were growing up, our lives would have been totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. If we actually had appreciation for the wisdom that people that are older than us had,
yeah,
life would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
Now imagine if we did everything that and I challenge anybody to this. Do everything the Bible commands you to do. If your life gets worse, I'll stop believing.
Well, it depends on how people portray worse, right?
No, I'm saying like if the quality of your peace gets worse,
your inner peace, your inner joy, like it doesn't matter what trials you go through, because you still have joy.
Like
you'll still laugh uncontrollably for no reason in the middle of a show.
In the middle, just for no reason, like. And then I'll start laughing for no reason too.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Okay. So true story, not to get off subject, but that's an important thing.
Yeah.
So,
what, laughing?
Yeah. I didn't laugh, like really laugh. I think probably for like 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah, me too.
I did before I was saved.
Even though I thought I was happy though.
Yeah. I thought I was happy. I would laugh, but it was almost like, it was just like what you did.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was actually like, saved that I started laughing one day, and I remember it became so uncontrollable, like kind of just like what you saw like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And so I was laughing, and I was volunteering at a place, and I was talking to one of the ladies that worked there. I forgot her name. She was so helpful to me too, and I said, I'm sorry. I kind of just like had like uncontrollable laughter,
right?
And I was like, it's weird. Like I don't even remember the last time I laughed like that. She goes, you know why you laugh like that? And I'm like, why? And she's like, because you can. You weren't free before. You can't laugh from your belly when you're not free.
Right.
You can't experience that level of joy when you're not free. And I thought about it. I was like, man, she was right, because I didn't laugh like whether I was in my addictions or whether I was just concerned about, who I was.
Right.
I couldn't laugh. And like, it wasn't until I was like saved and like, I knew like this redemption process had happened. Like, and I understood like the sacrifice that was made for me, and I had compassion for it. And man, like my world changed.
Yeah.
Like beyond words, like so beyond words. But I think we should.
It's a whole new world.
If
I had that clip, I'd play it. But no, so Jesus took it that serious too, because he wanted to have this with his disciples.
Yeah,
you go in like Matthew 26 or John 13.
I'm in John 13.
Yeah. And actually, it's interesting because in Matthew it says. The Institute of the Lord's Supper.
What verse is that?
Well, that's at Matthew 26:26. That's the institution of that. But before that, even in John, like he washes the disciples' feet. He comes in, he washes.
You do not realize what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but later you will understand.
You understand. So he washes their feet. This is the betrayal of him with Judas, but he longed to have this last meal with his friends, and it was important to him. So he already had it set up. It was like, he's got people looking for him. Everything's going on. He's like, go in the city. It's all set up for you. And then he institutes the Lord's Supper. It's interesting, even in like the, in the NASB in 95, it's on the top heading. It says, the new Passover. Yeah. No, sorry. The last Passover. Yeah. Because there's no need to have it. It becomes now the Lord's Supper.
Because
until I return, he says,
Because death has been defeated.
Yeah. So this is the last dinner that he has with them. And he says, drink of it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink again of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it anew with you in my Father's kingdom. Now, at the Passover, this has been passed down for generations. They have the bottles of wine there. You're supposed to do the 4 cups and stuff like that. And he's saying, you know what? This isn't about the redemption of Israel. This is about my sacrifice for you. This is my blood.
Yeah. He was actually showing Israel the position that God had originally put them in.
Yeah.
Like, you have delivered the message. Like, I am the God of Israel, but I'm not just the God of Israel.
Right.
I'm the God of everyone. And you have, and this is all played out according to God's will, obviously. And they were his chosen people to deliver that message.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying before. I like that's how God honors traditions, because we've installed a lot of traditions in those things that were written.
And tradition's not bad.
It's not bad,
because like even like when we do the Lord's Supper, we at my church we do it every first weekend of that month. So if it doesn't, whatever it happens to be, it's on that first weekend of that month.
Yeah.
We just do, we do the sacraments. We do, the matzah for his body. We do the grape juice for the blood, but it's in remembrance, because Jesus says take this, eat it. This is my body. And he passed the bread around and they ate it, and he said, okay, now drink this. This is my blood.
They're probably like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's weird, but okay.
Yeah. At first, I don't think they knew what was going on.
That's what I'm saying. It was it had to be so weird to them to be like, all right, I don't understand what he's talking about. Just Peter, just drink it.
Yeah, and in Matthew, he says, this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for forgiveness of sins. It's my picture there is when John saw him and said, behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. And here on Passover, that's what they're supposed to do, is kill that spotless lamb and pour that blood over the doorpost and lintel, right?
I love this. When he finished washing his feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. They're probably like,
you just washed my feet.
You just washed my feet. But yet he's done something so much greater than that. Like he knows, because right before that he says, what is it? Oh yeah, but you do not realize what I'm doing, but later you will understand. So everything is like a rhetorical. That's what I love about Jesus. He asks rhetorical questions, and when you ask him a question, he answers you back with a question. Because it's like, it doesn't matter what I tell you, you're not going to understand it right now. Anyway.
Or you do know, you have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them.
Right.
And they had no idea how huge the concept of that was. I mean, it's not just a matter of washing feet. It's a totally sacrificial existence.
Yeah.
Like that's way heavier than anybody could understand in that moment, I'm sure.
Right.
To unpack it over the years, I struggle with way simpler things these days.
Yeah, right.
So there was something else I wanted to get at.
Yeah. So, we're going into Good Friday.
Yeah.
So the Passover is about remembrance, right? Remembrance of Israel's depart and exodus out of Egypt. But at the same time, for us Christians, it's a remembrance of the Last Supper of Christ, reinstating a new implementing a new covenant, which is the last Passover. This is my blood, this is my bread. And then we go into now Good Friday. And why do we call it Good Friday? Because, it's the worst thing that you think could happen is. But
it's the best thing that could have happened for every one of us.
Yeah. This is the day that he was crucified brutally.
Yeah. Then that's the night he gives me the new command: love each other as I have loved you. For this. And then it's accentuated, like the last part. It's like, so for this reason, everyone will know that you are my disciple, that you are mine, because nobody else does this, so that says a lot about the conditions of the time. Like, love one another as I have loved you, because the way I love people is not the way any of you have ever loved anybody. So by doing this, they're going to know that you're mine, because nobody does this. Nobody in the world does this until I've done this right now.
Yeah.
So that's such a profound statement. And we read that like, okay, love people like Jesus loved you.
Yeah.
Love God, love people. All right, what does that mean though? Like, you're talking about the last commandment. That was like that's the commandment, so Jesus, what is the most important commandment that God's given us? Love your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind.
Yeah.
You know? And then he's like, but now I have another commandment to tell you. And that's when he's like, yeah, where I'm going, you can't go. So Peter's like, where are you going? It's like, doesn't matter. You can't go with me. You can't go where I'm going. You know?
Peter's like, I will go with you.
I will go anywhere with you. Yeah, you will.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the same night. Like if you look at the Gospels is that's the same when Peter denies him.
Yeah.
You know, well, he actually foretells at the Passover supper, he foretells Peter, say, hey, you're going to deny me.
Yeah.
You know?
He's like,
I pray for you, Peter, because the devil's going to sift you like wheat.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And you're going to deny me 3 times.
You're going to deny me. Yeah.
And sure enough, that girl's like, wait a minute. You're a Galilean. You're one of them.
Afraid of a girl.
No, I'm not.
Afraid of a girl, Peter.
It's like, no, I'm not. My name's Ralph. It's like, no, I'm telling you, I saw them with them. Nope, still Ralph. You know, so 3 times. Like, you know what's crazy though? He's still the rock of the church. Now, mind you, he denied Jesus 3 times, and we always talk about this. Like, what does it mean to deny Jesus? Like, and which is the trait of an integral man, a person who won't deny his faith, you know. But yet, Peter's integrity shattered.
But we all do.
And this is my point. You know, we all do to some extent. You know, there's times. I mean, think about it. There's times you deny Christ when there's a moment of someone else in need, and you're just too busy.
Yeah,
that's denying Christ.
Yeah. So that what you were talking about, I think it was in what was that? John 13. No, well, John 13, but John 21, I think it is.
Oh, that's like 30s, in the 30s.
Well, because Peter denies Christ 3 times.
Yes, that's 38.
But when Jesus, after Jesus' resurrection, and he's rose again, he comes to him and he says, you know, Simon, son of John, do you love me?
Yeah.
You know, and he says it 3 times because he denied him 3 times, right? And he says, tend to my sheep. He says, do you love me? You know, he says it again. And he says, feed my sheep. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk. And he's basically telling him, hey, you know what? You're going to suffer just as I suffered.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, with great power comes great responsibility.
But I think we should all ask ourselves that is basically imagine Jesus just saying to you, hey, do you love me? Do you love me?
Yeah. How much do you think you love me?
Yeah, how much do you think you love Jesus?
Yeah. Do you love me enough to put down your worst parts?
Yeah.
Do you love me enough to deny yourselves the things that are not good for you?
Right.
And that's something we all have to contend with. Whether we want to admit it or not, as Christians, like that's what you have to deal with. You want to ask yourself, especially like Good Friday coming, you know, Easter, we're celebrating the resurrection. This is a good time to just say, all right, you know, the whole New Testament is about the beauty of repentance.
Yeah.
And why your ability to repent and fail is covered.
You know, it's interesting because you brought up that point where you said you know, proclaiming who Jesus was and realizing who he is. And when he says to Peter, on this rock, I'm going to build my church. And some people get it mixed up where they think that it's Peter he's talking about. But actually, if you read it, it says, he asked them the question, who do people say the Son of Man is? And they say Elijah and all that stuff. Yeah. He says, but who do you say that I am?
The Lord.
Yeah. And Simon Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered him, blessed are you, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven did. Mm-hmm. I tell you, Peter, that on this rock, the rock isn't Peter, it's the revelation of God.
Yeah, the revelation that he is who he is.
Yeah, and that it's not flesh and blood that can reveal it, it's the Father who reveals it.
Yeah.
That's the rock.
Yeah,
he said, on this rock I will build my church, and it's really not the rock of that. It's the revelation that Jesus is the Son of the living God.
It's the Son of the living God, right. And the God in the flesh.
Yeah,
yeah.
The only one that can actually die, give himself up, die, and then rise himself up again.
And let Thomas stick his finger through his hand to his holes.
Yeah, and I mean, he raised Lazarus, but Lazarus died again.
Yeah. Lazarus didn't come back. He raised him as the point.
As a point, but he died.
And because
he died twice.
Yeah.
That kind of sucked, though.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what? Hey, listen, we die a lot in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, because we choose not to live correctly.
Yeah.
Or just not to live in general.
So I think, I mean, that's a big thing where he died, and we look at Good Friday as an example of him being brutally crucified, but at the same time saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah, you can learn from that.
Mercy, grace.
Stephen learned from that.
Yeah.
The Apostle Stephen learned from that.
Yeah.
He's like, forgive them, Father. Do not hold this sin against them. And that right there. That's the moment that I feel probably troubled Paul.
That's exactly.
Like,
that's it, because it doesn't say if Paul was there during Jesus's crucifixion, but if he saw the example through Stephen,
then he saw
Jesus. Yeah. He saw Jesus' crucifixion,
and that has to be so troubling to see somebody consider the souls of the people that are murdering you in the middle of that moment.
Right.
Like, I'm telling you right now, if I'm getting beat down, I'm going to struggle with that.
Yeah,
I'm going to struggle hard.
Yeah,
but to getting smashed with rocks the size of footballs.
Yeah, it'd be like a game of dodgeball with me, man. I'd be like picking up rocks.
I'd take another rock and block the other rocks. I'm like, forgive him, Father. Don't hold this sin against them.
Yeah, right.
I'd be Jackie Chan of Israel.
Right.
Yeah, man. I'd be Joshua Chan.
Yeah.
Just blocking with rocks.
Yeah, and then we go into the of course what our faith really stands on is the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's the fact that he is who he says he is,
and he's alive.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because we're like, yeah, Jesus died and then he rose and then he ascended to heaven, like, because he's not here on earth. Like, this is why we celebrate Resurrection Day.
Yeah,
because, like, you know, we say that like he is alive.
He's alive. Yeah,
there's no other way to put it.
And it says he sat down at the right hand of the Father, and that's a picture of it's finished.
Yes, because the right hand was always seen as the place for royalty for the king. And
he sat.
Yes.
Which means it's done.
It's done. The
mercy seat.
It's the day of resting for the Lord in Genesis too. He created, and on the seventh day he rested. Does God have legs and feet to kick up? No, but for us
now he does.
Now he does. And you know he got them nice fancy sandals on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Jesus wins.
That's it. He wins.
Jesus wins.
Got some Air Jesus on.
Air Jesus on.
That's it.
Yeah. So as we come to this
Good Friday, Passover, yes. Good Friday. Listen, if you can,
great opportunity to talk to people.
Yeah, great opportunity to talk to people. If you're going to celebrate Passover, celebrate, enjoy.
Give them the good news.
Give the good news.
Give the good news out.
And be kind to each other.
Yeah.
First and foremost, be kind.
Amen.
And get some laughter in your life.
Try to laugh. Even if it's uncontrollable at the wrong moments, awkward moments, you're trying to be serious.
There's no editing.
There's no editing. We go straight live with you.
We love you
guys. Hey, yeah, what we got coming up is some editing ourselves.
Yeah, so we're gonna have some fun with the footage from Worship United. We're gonna put together some stuff. I forgot before, Dave Pettigrew.
Dave?
Yeah, great worship too. I want to thank Rafe Tangora, excuse me.
Rafe, yeah.
Rafe for great work. Steve Ciato. Thank you, sir.
Steve, yes, and Steve's actually going to give us some.
We got some stuff. So our little documentary is going to be packed with good things.
Good things.
See
and
you
more to
next
come.
week.
Yo, happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Resurrection Day.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Woo.
Love you guys.